So we did Harry Potter 1 Order Code Explain. Now we're going to do Harry Potter 2 Order Code Explain. This is going to be a lot easier to explain than Harry Potter 1 because there are not as many tricks as Harry Potter 1. Still quite a bit of interesting things to explain for this run. And the run is also a lot more fast-paced. So yeah, let's get right into it. I can't use VLC for this because it just, or an actual video player, it would just mess up the quality. I'm not sure why, so using YouTube, my actual YouTube bot for that. So yeah, this game allows you to skip cutscenes. You have an actual cutscene skip button, like Harry Potter 1, and yeah, there's no level for like Burrow or Dursleys or anything. We spawned right in Willow, so already like pretty far in the story. And we need to save Ron, except we're not really gonna do that. So a glitch you've seen in Harry Potter 1 already. Brightness boosting. So pretty much the exact same the concept as Harry Potter 1. You grab a ledge and you change the brightness and you start boosting in the air. And normally, just like in Harry Potter 1 as well, normally you can chain boost like that, but if you assign a shortcut key to your Harry Potter 2 shortcut and press it in this menu, you'll see a fade out on the bottom of the game. Like that. And then the game resumes. The game is essentially, when you press your shortcut key, the game is essentially trying to load a map that doesn't exist. And after the fade out is essentially done, the game realizes, oh shit, there's actually no map to load, then just resume the game. But it doesn't remain paused, even though we're in the menu. If we didn't have that, we would have to brightness boost, we would have to click on the brightness slider, on pause, re-pause, click on the brightness slider, and so on and so on. So that would take forever. Also, in Harry Potter 1, if you remember, we had menu glitch, which is essentially, you can do a glitch so that your first screen is the essentially option screen. So this one, if I would press pause, it would show this screen. We can do that in Harry Potter 2, but it's a lot harder to keep that menu glitch without breaking it, and it's also not as useful. I'll explain a bit more later when I actually do menu glitch, because there are a couple times where we do use menu glitch. So first boost, this game, also in this game I should mention, you can only brightness boost with ledge grab animations. It does not work with damage animation like Harry Potter 1. This is only ledge grab. And just like in Harry Potter 1, where Harry moves in the ledge grab animation will also change the outcome, like where you land out of a brightness boost. So in Harry Potter 1, it does that. In this game, it also does it, but it's a lot stronger than Harry Potter 1. In Harry Potter 1, mostly you go like a little bit to the right if Harry moves his right leg up or stuff like that. But mostly it's just you're boosting upward. This game has 3 ledge grab animation. The first one is the medium ledge grab, which you're seeing right here, which boosts Harry both to the right and then forward. The first half of the animation, you go forward, you go to the right, sorry, and then you only go forward. There's the short ledge grab, which first moves you backward a little bit, and then forward. And then the long ledge grab, which doesn't really do anything, it just sends you straight upward. And all 3 animations also send you upward. So yeah, we're gonna use that here because we're supposed to cast on this Lumos Gargoyle that you can see on the bottom here, and it's supposed to reveal the wall here. So the spell hits, it reveals the wall, and then while we're boosting, we can make our way all the way there. And now we're gonna do second boost to get out of bounds this time. So what I do here, and again, this is also a thing in Harry Potter 1, but not nearly as strong in Harry Potter 1. You can see how I'm like quickly curving my spell like that to the left. Essentially, this is where you move your camera will influence the direction of your spell. So for example here, I want to curve my mouse to the left like that, so that the spell doesn't just hit like this part of the luggage and just doesn't work. I want to like hit the left so that the spell kind of goes like this around and then goes back into the luggage. So yeah, that also works in the Harry Potter one, but it's not nearly as strong as this game, also because the spellcasting is a bit different. And yeah, that lets us get out of bounds. And yeah, the whole reason we cast on the luggage is because even though we're already way above the luggage, the game still thinks that we're grabbing the luggage. And because we're pushing the luggage, it's also pushing her in the process. So that saves like an extra second. And so yeah, there's a couple new strats that got found since my record. I'll show you all of them in small clips as we go. So right now I'm gonna show you the new strat that we have for this level in particular. So here we still boost off the luggage, but we try to get close to the secret instead that has a chest next to it. And if we cast on that chest, it triggers a cutscene. And because Harry cannot take fall damage in the cutscene state, we can just avoid any fall damage and skip a bit of walking. Then we can get a short ledge grab boost and then go to the end of Willow. But yeah, after we got out of bounds, we run to the end trigger of Willow, which is just right here. Normally you hit the other side of the gate, but the trigger extends far enough that you can hit it from the other side. And that's the first level in 42 seconds. So now we make our way into the castle. You can see me spam the one like this. It's actually not just for fun. This game has something with when you're essentially trying to jump or even falling off like that, the game takes a little bit of your speed away. I believe I don't know how accurate this information is anymore, but it was supposed to patch super jumps like we had on the Harry Potter 1. But yeah, the whole point is doing jumping or walking off, being in the air, it takes a little bit of your speed, but if you mash spell casting like that, you lose way less speed and you can cross like higher distance sometimes. It's only a couple of units away, but sometimes it does make a big difference. And that's also why we want to jump as little as possible in this run. Which now you're probably confused why I jumped twice here and twice there. That's also a bit of an exception. Just like in Harry Potter 1, slopes, when you walk on them, it takes a little bit of your speed. And jumping, for whatever reason, just kind of cancels that. Well, pretty much because you're not walking on the slope. And those stairs are not actual stairs. They're like the first two sets are slopes. Those stairs, however, are actual stairs. So I don't want to jump on them, because I can bonk on like the steps like that. So we got to the common room, and now we're going to go on to our first class, which is Rectus Empra. So we do a brightness boost here with a medium ledge grab. Boost all the way up and skip the cutscene with Nick. And also to save a bit of walking. So more cutscene skips, and now we get into the classroom. And now, so now we're gonna do the hierarchies. Also, something you might be confused is, why is there no health bar? Why is there no hourglass when I'm skipping cutscenes, like right here? There's also, yeah, no black bars during cutscenes. So the reason for that is there is a debug key that the devs left. They forgot to remove it, which is F4. F4 just happens to close all menus at once. And it's useful after a brightness boost, because as you can see, in order to brightness boost, I have to first go in the menu, and then I can start brightness boosting. But if I want to unpause, I can't just press escape once and then I would have to press escape twice. Escape first to get out of the options, and escape a second time to get out of this menu. But because F4 closes all menus at once, that's what I use instead, just to be able to unpause earlier. That has, however, because it was a dev key, the side effect of removing hourglasses, like the hourglass animation from cutscene skips, not showing your health bar anymore, so my health is still there, it still exists, it's just not visible, and no black bars during cutscenes. So, and now, the arrow keys, you might have seen some runs that do the arrow keys, some runs that don't, so doing the arrow keys is 4 seconds faster. It speeds up this lesson, this specific lesson, by 4 seconds. Now, the reason we didn't do it in the past is because at the end of Rectus Empra, you grab the final star, the big star. That gives you house points, and after that, we go to the bean bonus room. How long we stay in the bean bonus room is based on the difference of house points between Slytherin and Gryffindor. So the higher the difference between the two, the longer we'll stay in the bean bonus room. And because this lesson gives us house points, we didn't want to do it. It was worth losing 4 seconds because this gives you, I think, how much? 30 house points, I think. It's 5, 10, 15, I think, if I recall correct. And we don't, it's worth not getting those 30 house points just to save more time later in the bean bonus room. Now, as I mentioned, you get the house points in Rectus Empra, and you become ahead of Slytherin in house points because you grab the last star. Which means if you don't grab the last star, you don't get points in Rectus Empra. We will still get points from completing this, but we will still be behind Slytherin, living Rectus Empra. We will not have more points than Slytherin, they will be ahead. So because of that, it's just faster to do it. Now something else is gonna happen, because I'm still gonna go to the bean bonus room, but I'll explain why in a bit. Okay, I'm just gonna skip this, you just do arrow keys. Sometimes the game can give a random input. You probably heard people complain about fake inputs. You can just get, the game can just give you a random input and then it just fails the lesson. That's great. So now, we actually had a skip to not grab the big star at the end of Rectus Empra, but you still had to play almost the entirety of Rectus Empra and hit like a different trigger. Now, this new skip, which is not actually new, it's called Rectus Empra skip. You've probably seen it in old runs. And so I'll quickly explain why we stopped doing it for a while, and then why it's back now. So the reason we stopped doing it, back then we ran this game at 120 FPS, which made the cuts and skips a lot faster. Which also, because the cuts and skips are faster, we start moving a little bit earlier. And right there, you can't see it, but like this is the start of Rectus Empra, like the door that opens from where we enter the challenge. And the bars of like on this door, they get like close so that you can't hit the door, because there's a trigger which normally you're only meant to use in like replaying Rectus Empra. So that when you beat Rectus Empra once, you can re-enter Rectus Empra, and if you want to leave, you can just go back from that door where you came from. Now, you're not meant to hit that trigger, so that's why they made the bars like close like that. On 120 FPS, the cuts and skips are really quick, so you can gain movement a little bit early. And you can do some like precise inputs in order to jump into the trigger here. And just skip the entirety of Rectus Empra. Now, we switched to 60 FPS because back then, some people literally, even nowadays, some people can't consistently hit 120 FPS. And And just to make it more fair for everyone, we decided to switch to 60 FPS and force it on every single board. But this caused the cuts and skips to be slower, obviously, since they're based on your frame rate, how fast they skip. And we couldn't hit that trigger anymore. That is until someone suggested to do lag jumps. And the way lag jumps work is essentially, if you jump and press your reload keys or your shortcut key, pretty much the exact moment you jump or like a couple frames after, that I'm not exactly sure what it does, but it essentially gives you a little bit more distance with your jump. And yeah, you essentially just go further in your jump. And yeah, someone just randomly, while I was running Harry Potter 1 actually, his name is Coney, suggested to try some lag jump like to the door, and then I thought about it and I was like, it should work now that I think about it. So I give this a couple tries, and this is pretty precise, but essentially you can do 3 lag jump like that and just reach that trigger. And that skips the entirety of Rectus Empra, saves a little bit over 2 minutes. It's really precise though, and a bit inconsistent because lag jumps sometimes they just don't work. We're not really sure why. But yeah, 3 reloads like that. And then we're out of Rectus Empra. And I guess I should mention the reason this also works, like the game doesn't check for us to complete Rectus Empra. The game works on game states, which is, for example, here, because you go back to certain maps in the game multiple times. This is the map entry hall, and depending on the game states, different things happen. So here, I think this is game state 30, where you have to go to the bean bonus room. Later is going to be like game state, I don't know, like 80, for example. So something different is going to happen. That's how the game keeps track of the story. It has game states. And the game states updates as soon as we enter Rectus Empra. That means we don't have to complete the Rectus Empra. We just have to enter Rectus Empra. And once the game state is updated, we just have to leave Rectus Empra. Not actually complete it, just be able to leave it. Leave the level. And that's how we skip Rectus Empra entirely. And now, as I said, we are behind Slytherin on points. Except actually not, now we're ahead. So what happened there is there is a code like somewhere, or a line in the code that just says that Gryffindor must do the first bean bonus room no matter what. Even if Gryffindor is behind Slytherin, you have to do the very first bean bonus room. That is like literally hard-coded. And when we finish Rectus Empra, we're behind Slytherin, so normally we wouldn't go into the bean bonus room. And the game sees that and is like, okay, give Gryffindor house points anywhere between, I think it's 5 to 10. I don't remember the exact numbers, but I think it's somewhere between 5 and 10. Give Gryffindor anywhere between 5 to 10 house points and keep doing that until Gryffindor is ahead of Slytherin. And that's why we still go back in the bean bonus room. And this is the main RNG, the main reset point in the run, because we can get anywhere between 5 and 10. If we're ahead of Slytherin, anywhere between 1 to 5 house points, we'll stay 10 seconds in the bean bonus room. And if we're ahead of Slytherin, anywhere between 6 to 10 house points, we'll stay 20 seconds in the bean bonus room. And then further, you stay even longer, but because of how this works, you can never be more than... I don't even think you can be like 20 points ahead, but yeah. We can only lose 10 to 10 or 20... or we can only lose 10 seconds on that split if we get bad RNG. Bad RNG is like a 45% chance, I think, so it's still pretty common. And yeah, you can get a random progs here if you get lucky. But yeah, this is why we stay in, we still have to do bean bonus room. So now we go to Quidditch practice, and there is actually a new skip that is not really RT viable at the moment, but I'll show you right now so you can see how it looks. So a little comparison made by Mark, and you can see on the left side is Coney pulling out the boost, And there's essentially an alternative trigger to enter Quidditch that we can boost into, but this is a really, really tight boost. If done successfully, it can save about 2 seconds. But yeah, since this skip or that skip is not really RTA viable, I don't know if it's ever going to be in the run. We'll see. Yeah, Quidditch training. Quidditch, unfortunately, in this game is an auto-scroller, so we can't really do anything to speed it up. You can, however, lose time if you get hit, which is random. So yeah, first half is just grabbing the snitch. Second half, an opponent is gonna try to catch the snitch as well. And this is the RNG here because she has a sort of pattern when she can hit you. But as far as I know, how the pattern starts is random. Like, she can only hit you every, like, 3 seconds, for example. I don't actually know the exact time. But because the pattern of when she starts being able to hit you is random, this is not really something you can control. So we wait a little bit, and then we hit her, so that because if she's next to us, we cannot grab the snitch. The game won't let us. And if she hits us, we lose 2.5 seconds. You can also sometimes get hit by bludger. They lose a bit less. I think it's like 1.5 seconds. But yeah, not much going on. It's just Quidditch, and now we're gonna go into potions. And actually want to make sure to not have like the menu glitch with F4, or like do the F4 thing that I talked about earlier, because it will not give us our potion here. And also here, I have to make sure that I wait here. If I don't wait, the game soft locks. There are a couple cutscenes that they made unskippable for that exact reason, that if you skip them, it soft locks. They probably just didn't realize that if you go instantly to the cauldron, you soft lock. Or maybe they didn't care because they probably thought that wasn't going to be a problem. But yeah, if we try to interact with that cauldron before Snape starts talking, we soft lock. That's why you have to wait a little bit here. So now we're going to go to Scourge. Second spell challenge of the run. We're gonna do another brightness boost here. This one doesn't save as much. The other one saves, like, I don't know, maybe 10 seconds. I'm not actually sure. This one saves like half a second to a second. But you can still skip a little bit of walking. Then we're gonna hit into Charmed. And so yeah, now we're gonna do all the spell drawings. This spell drawing in particular is notorious for giving fake inputs. It's like, we don't really know why, but fake inputs are more common on certain spell drawings than other, or spell learning rather. And this one is just the most common. Rectus Empra is second most. Diffindo third. Diffindo fake inputs are pretty rare, but they still happen. Spongify almost never happens. It has happened a couple times, but it almost never happens. So yeah, I'm just gonna skip that. There's literally nothing to say. It's just our keys. So now, you can see on my input display, I do something a bit specific. Like, I hold down double back. Also, yeah, we have double inputs if you watched the Harry Potter one. What I could explain. Double inputs, they increased our acceleration. Which is why you see me holding 2 inputs sometimes at once. So when we're at top speed, it doesn't matter. We can stop holding double inputs, but like to start building up speed, we want to use double inputs. And here I'm holding double back, single left, and mashing jump. Also, yeah, right mouse button is my cutscene skip key if you were confused why I was holding it like 90% of the time. And yeah, the reason I'm doing these inputs is because it will set up my angle for a really precise trick here. This is called Scourge Skip, one of the oldest trick in the run too. But yeah, I want to, with that exact angle, I want to hit the wall and then jump So I can partially, this is a wall walk just like HP1, this one just happens to be very precise. And yeah, you click partially on the wall like that, and that lets you jump over this fence, I guess. And then you skip, because the star is like right below you, so you can just skip the entire challenge like that. So yeah, that was Scourge. And now, again, we're going to be behind Slytherin on house points, except this time we will not be forced into being minus room. We will stay behind Slytherin on house points until the rest of the run, and we will not do any other bean bonus room for the rest of this run. Now we're gonna go into Bicorn. And has a trick right at the start where we're gonna use leg jump. In Rectus Empra that saved 2 minutes. In this saves less than 2 seconds. I think like a second and a half. But yeah, leg jump here. To barely get the sledge grab, the alternative is that you get a short ledge grab of this sledge, land into a wall walk that's behind the doorway, and then you can just move on, but it is a little bit slower. So yeah, if you fail this only saves a second and a half, but if you fail this, your run is over. You lose like 15 seconds, which at record level is way too much. Because as you can see, I only beat the record by 2 seconds. And there's just not a lot of, you know, you can't really afford making many mistakes in this run. Like if at least it was just, and you know, I would understand it, but no, it's literally the same PC. And then the other reason we did the lag jump is because these snails right here, the other one is here, they're on the cycle. The moment you enter the map, the moment the map loads, they like start moving. They're on a cycle, and we want to get there quickly enough so that this guy sees us and essentially tries to charge us, but falls in the trap, and that avoids having to trap him. That saves a little bit of time. And then podcasting. Actually, they mentioned it. This is a trick specific to Harry Potter 2. It's not in Harry Potter 1. If you've played the game before, you know that every single time you cast, there's a little bit of there's a cooldown of like half a second or so, where you can't cast instantly. Pausing just happens to completely cancel the cooldown. Pausing with either the escape key, so to go in the main menu, or using the map. Which pausing with menu is a bit more awkward, so most people use map for podcasting. Pausing with menu is technically a tiny bit faster, because the thing about map is the game looks for when you release the map button before it unpauses, whereas to unpause the main menu, the game just looks for when you repress the key instantly and not when you release it. But it really doesn't make a difference. It's like probably frames in the entire run, and it's really awkward to podcast with escape. Some people still do it, but yeah. Yeah, and yeah, another reason again where we want to get those cycles with the snail is because they're in a nice spot so that we can podcast them. If you miss the cycle, they're like sometimes they can be super far in the room, and then you need more podcast. Yeah, a couple podcasts here. You also have to be careful because in this game, where your flipendo will move whatever thing you're trying to cast on, or to cast at, is based on your position. Which is why here, you can see me moving a little bit down right. That's just because if I move left, the game will push the crab more to the right. But if I move to this direction, this like is still in this line, and this will actually trap the crab. And yeah, also another weird thing, it's not really that relevant in this run, but your flipendo will push stuff further if you're not like right against the target. If you're right next to the target and cast a flipendo, it won't reach like it will push the whatever thing you're trying to push less than if you're like taking a bit of distance. Like the weird load at the start. There's like 2 weird loads that are done. And a wall walk here, a really simple one. It skips the entire maze. I actually lost a bit here. You saw me getting stuck. You can get something called it's not even a bunny hop. I don't know. But if you jump on the very first frame where you land, Harry gets a really, really tiny jump. It's really stupid. It's faster in some places, but yeah. But because I jumped on the very first frame, I lost a little bit there. So I stood down here to actually move my mouse all the way to the setting option for the next boost. And I didn't lose any time by doing so because I had to wait for the door to open here. There you saw. And here, a wall walk, a really simple one again. You literally just look at it, jump, hold forward, and that's it. And at one jump where spell tech actually does make a bit of a difference, because this jump, you can now grab this ledge, and it's a bit of a tight jump. And spell tech just lets you reach it a lot easier than without. Because spell tech gives you a couple extra units. So here we do a double boost. We first get a long ledge grab, and then a short ledge grab right after, just to skip the entire climbing section. And now I'm gonna go straight to the end of Bicorn, grab the Bicorn, and we'll be done with the level. So yeah, we have 3 levels to collect the Polyjuice potion ingredients. That was the first one, also the longest one. All the other ones are gonna be, all the levels after that are gonna be pretty short. And now this is the Dueling class. We're gonna fight a Malfoy. And actually a little glitch that we're gonna use with pause casting. So here, we have, of course you can't see it because I did F4, but we have 3 spells here. If you've played the game before, you know them. Rectus Empra, Mimblewimble, and Expelliarmus. Doing a pause cast, which is, again, you cast and you pause instantly right after. Doing a pause cast in duels with Expelliarmus just causes Expelliarmus to constantly reflect your spell. Like, you don't even have to cast Expelliarmus anymore. It will just reflect the spells no matter what. Which is what we do here. We quickly do a pause cast with Expelliarmus. So I quickly switch to Expelliarmus, do 1 pause cast. And now I have essentially an invisible shield, like it will constantly reflect the spells. And I do a couple Rectus Empra podcasts. Those, they are normal, I guess. You just cast Rectus Empra, and then Malfoy will reflect your spells, and you just murder him in 2 seconds. So that was Dueling Club. We try to jump on Ron's head here, because we can get some random speed, which sometimes can save up to 0.7, I believe. Now we're gonna head to the Findo. 3rd spell challenge of the run. Now we're also gonna skip, but this time not a skip that's in the challenge. So yeah, the Findo. Yes, I have another shirt. I'm filming this on 2 different days. That's why, if you're confused. So here, you can quickly see I'm doing something with the menu there. This is going to be another glitch called Quidditch warping. And just like I said in Rectus Empra, let me turn down the volume a bit. Just like I said in Rectus Empra, we don't need to actually complete levels, we just need to exit them. Not every single one of them, but the idea is we just want the game state to be updated so that it advances the story. And as soon as it's updated, which is in that case, for every single spell challenge, it works the same, which is you enter the spell challenge and then the game state updates. It's the same thing here for Defendo. So we only want to enter Defendo and exit Defendo by any mean. Any possibility and any, well, in that case, the fastest possible way to exit Defendo. And we're gonna do so by Quidditch warping. So the menu that you saw me doing, I pressed escape, went in the Quidditch menu. I'll quickly show you again so that you can see right here. So you can check your Quidditch matches at any time. You can just pause and go into Quidditch matches. But it doesn't actually do anything. It only lets you see the scores. You can't like play a match from there at all. But if you go in those Quidditch matches and then press F4, which once again closes every single menu at once, because normally to close the Quidditch menu, you would have to, or to close the menu at all, you would have to press escape once first to get out of the Quidditch menu and press escape a second time, just like for brightness boosting. So F4 closes every menu at once, but this one is a bit of a weird one, and I don't fully know why it works that way, but essentially, if right now the Quidditch menu is sort of stored in the background because we closed it with F4. Because F4 closes all menus at once, but it kind of keeps it in memory. It's a bit weird. And then when we press map, when you press tab to open the map or map key, if we press escape again, it will put us back onto the Quidditch board, except this one is a sort of glitch board. Right now, the game thinks we're in front of the Quidditch board that's right next to a Quidditch pitch. It thinks we're like on that board, which that board lets you warp to Quidditch matches. That's how you play Quidditch matches on the regular game. So yeah, that glitch allows us to basically warp to a Quidditch match whenever we want. And now we can skip Defendo almost entirely, but it takes about 35 seconds, which is just slower than playing a Quidditch match. Because once we're done with a Quidditch match, we get sent out, like, in the grounds, outside the castle, in front of the Quidditch pitch. And so you might think, oh, the fastest way is to, grab the snitch or something else. But the fastest way is actually to die out of the Quidditch match, because when you grab the snitch, there is an unskippable cutscene. And when the opponent grabs the snitch, there is also an unskippable cutscene that you can't do anything about, and that takes like 15 seconds, I think. So the fastest way is to die off the opponent, from the opponent. You can also take some damage from there. But now, because you saw, here I warped to the third match, which normally Malfoy is not very strong. Like the way it works is obviously the later you go into the matches, the stronger the opponent is. But third match, Malfoy is really not that strong. It doesn't deal a lot of damage. But now Quidditch is really broken in a lot of different ways. We use that a lot more in 100%. But essentially, you see me going back to this Quidditch menu right after I warp into the Quidditch match. That's because before the match starts, if you pause, go in the Quidditch menu, this time you don't have to do the F4 map thing like I did. That would warp you back into the Quidditch match anyways. But what we do instead is just go in the Quidditch menu and click on this match, the 6th match, right there. And for whatever reason, that causes the game to think we are sort of on this match, not exactly, but it will transfer the strength of the opponent. Or it will transfer the strength that Malfoy normally has on the 6th match on the 3rd match. So it sorts of thinks that the opponent is essentially Malfoy from 6th match when I work the 3rd match. When in reality, I'm on the 3rd match. And that allows us to take a crap ton of damage because you can see like hits me really, really quickly. You can see the health bar because again I did F4. And sadly, there's quite a bit of RNG into this. This is the main issue with this run, why a lot of people say that Warpless or the other categories are better. Well, 100% technically has more RNG, but this is the main reason why a lot of people say that Warpless is better. Because one, you actually play the level, and two, you don't have to deal with this RNG. So the patterns you get when you start a Quidditch match are completely random. And we want a pattern that lets us take 2 hits at the start, or 2.5, I think. I believe you can get 3 different ones at the very beginning. One goes into the ring, like these rings right here that you can see, but except the other side of the map. And it lets you take 2 or 3 hits, I forgot how many. Another one, exact same pattern, except it goes a slightly different way, and that one only lets you take, I think, 1 hit. And this one lets you take 2 hits. So this one is the second best pattern you can get. And another fun thing is Malfoy can only damage you if you're like next to him, but from the side. If you're under him or above him, it will not deal damage to you. But another problem is right there I got pretty lucky. So Malfoy didn't really move. But Malfoy can move like up, left, right, like wherever he wants, and there's nothing you can do about it. And obviously, if he moves away from you, you're not gonna get hit. And the last bit of RNG is I can turn up the volume. Dude, I got 2 lines. Fuck. So here I got even more unlucky because I got 2 lines. You heard that Lee Jordan line. Lee Jordan has, I don't know how many lines, I want to say 5, but I'm really not sure. It has a bunch of different lines, and they're all random, and they're all different length. So some of them are really short, some of them are pretty long. And so yeah, not only that you can lose time to RNG by getting a bad pattern, so missing a couple of damage, you can lose time to RNG by Malfoy just moving left, right, up, and down, and you can lose time right at the end when you die because of Lee Jordan's line. So yeah, that's why a lot of despite Quidditch matches in this run, it's by far the worst part of the run. But anyways, now you know everything about Quidditch form. This is how we're gonna skip a lot of the levels, but not all of them. And now your question is probably, why didn't you use that to skip Bicorn? Now, once again, we need to update the game state to go to the next point in the story. The problem is Bicorn, the game, to update the game state, it doesn't check when we enter the level. The game checks when we grab the Bicorn. Like when we grab the ingredient. If we actually try to warp out of Bicorn, it will softlock because you cannot re-enter Bicorn, and it doesn't update the game state. So here, Boomslang, once again, it works the same as Bicorn. We cannot Quidditch warp, but that's fine because a Quidditch warp would be slower anyways. This level is stupid short. And now you saw I actually had menu glitch there, so I set it up during a Quidditch match. I can quickly show you again. So you can see here I'm doing, this all goes really quick. I do a Quidditch warp there, then I do the strength transfer, we call that, so that Malfoy is strong. Then I unpause, or get out of that menu, go in the option menu, click and hold the slider. This part works the same as Harry Potter 1 to get menu glitch. And then hold F4, or hold the slider with left mouse button and press F4. And that causes the next time I will open the menu by pressing escape, I will have menu glitch, aka the slider, the option menu will be my first screen. I just have to click once. But yeah, once again, we can't use that too much because every time you pause cast, unless you would pause cast and pausing with F4, which is absolutely horrible, you lose menu glitch. If you unpause with escape, you also lose menu glitch. So the only way to keep menu glitch is unpausing with F4 or holding the slider after your boost and unpausing with escape. Those are the only two ways. And yeah, the problem with this is it also has some side effects of if you have this F4 thing where there's no health bar and anything and everything, you cannot. It's a bit more complicated than that, but you cannot get your potion, and you cannot get health from frogs. Other things, but not relevant for this run. There are other things, but yeah. Something interesting that we realized not too long ago is here you can see, this is only if you really know the game. Normally, you don't insta-work like this as you... So, yeah, I should probably explain, but yeah, we break the entire level by just getting a short ledge from here. And then here, the ledge is slightly too high up, but... Again, I don't really know how that works, but you can kind of jump against the ledge like that and tap left. And even if Harry is like barely not high enough to get up the ledge, you just kind of clip on it with a good angle like that. It's called a ledge clip. So yeah, we can just boost out of bounds and go straight to the end. And yeah, so as I said, normally, if you know the game well, normally you grab the Boomslang and the Boomslang kind of like flies off screen. And then it triggers the transition or like the cutscene and lets you skip a cutscene. If you enter this menu in an F4 state, so this state where you have no health bar, nothing by pressing F4, it sorts of cancels this thing of the Boomslang like flying away. It causes some weird thing, and that lets you have an instant transition like that. That was very recently found. I forgot how much that saved. It's really not much. I think it's like 0.3, 0.4. A strat I forgot to mention, but right here in Boomslang, we can actually do a boost, which is pretty self-explanatory. We just do a really, really big boost and land into a ledge grab. It is technically RT viable, but it is really, really difficult to pull off. It saved about 3 seconds. So yeah. So Boomslang, again, we can't warp out of that, but the level is like 20 seconds long, so warp would not even save time. Another bean bonus room, it's the Defendo bean bonus room that we skip again because we don't have enough house points. And now we're gonna go in current staircase. And now another really big skip called... I call it next skip, a lot of people call it Dumbledore skip. Next skip is the correct name for it. So yeah, I still have menu glitch there because I unpaused with F4. I'll keep it for a bit longer. There is another cutscene with Nick that similar to Rectus Empra, or entering Rectus Empra, we skip there. Here I make sure to mash really early so that if you remember, the medium ledge grab animation moves you to the right. Here I want to move to the right as soon as possible because the trigger is a bit like larger in the other direction. The trigger is essentially a bit larger, and it's really easy to hit that cutscene if you're not careful. And if you hit that cutscene with Nick being petrified, the game sends you to Dumbledore's office. You have to, you know, go in Dumbledore's office, watch a bunch of cutscenes, and watch a bunch of unskippable cutscenes. You lose about 2 minutes. So you really, this is not a hard boost, but you really don't want to fail it. I literally only have that for speedrunning. I don't have that for anything else. And normally after Dumbledore's office, Ron tells you, go to the bathroom, blah blah blah, Hermione wants to see you. I forgot what I say. Doesn't matter. But the point is, that trigger with Hermione in the bathroom is always active. Which means we don't have to go first to Dumbledore's office. We can just skip ahead directly to that trigger. Now, this is a bit messed up. You can see the menu is a bit messed up because I did menu glitch earlier. I'm preparing, again, another Quidditch warp. So during cuts and skip where there's nothing going on, I prepared the first step of the Quidditch warp, which is going in the menu and then pressing the Quidditch menu and then pressing F4. And here, this is Goyle, the Goyle level, where we're supposed to get a bit of Goyle for Hermione to finish the Apologist potion. This level, we're lucky that the game state updates as soon as we enter the level, which means we can just warp out of it instantly. So again, here, nothing new. This is the exact same concept. You can see a different pattern here. This is the bad one, so you only get hit once. The worst one you can get. And yeah, you can see Malfoy moving left and right. I got a bit unlucky there. Not the worst one. Also, yeah, you actually want Harry to land on anything as quickly as possible, because this is what triggers this fade out and what kicks you out of the match. So you can also lose some time if you get hit later or earlier. It depends. It's really depends on the situation. So yeah, now we walk back to the castle. Normally after Goyle we get sent straight to Grand Staircase, but here, because we Quidditch Warp, we have to first walk back in Grand Staircase, or in Entry Hall, and then walk into Grand Staircase. So yeah, and then now we're gonna get Warp up to 2nd floor, because that's normally where we would end up after Goyle. So this is just a bunch of walking. Now, a really weird game state change. I believe it's the only time in the game where you actually get a game state that updates after a cutscene. But here, this is where Harry drinks the Polyjuice, and transforming into Goyle changes the game state. And what we do here, I don't know why it works that way. You can see me holding tab like that. Again, I prepared another Quidditch Warp. This one doesn't save that much, but it does save a bit of time. If I hold tab to open the map and then release it during that cutscene skip, it will open the map on the first possible frame, I think, at least, where the game state changes. So I can just warp instantly. Again, here, same thing. So yeah, this one skips walking out of Grand Staircase, because we're gonna go into the dungeon, which might not seem like a time save, but it's a lot of walking to go out of Grand Staircase. And so yeah, your little funny thing that we're as Goyle entering. So yeah, obviously, since you're never meant to be Goyle in a Quidditch match, you can see they disabled the Quidditch ward when I spawn, because you're never meant to play Quidditch, but obviously we have Quidditch warping, so we can just warp whenever we want. And yeah, now we skipped a bit of walking. We're gonna go straight to dungeons. So yeah, I'm just gonna skip ahead. This is just entering the Slytherin common room. One of the few unskippable cutscenes. This one, I believe, is this door opening. Having cutscene skip enable kind of breaks it. And here, another Quidditch Warp as we enter Slytherin. Slytherin common room. Once again, there, the game state updates as soon as we enter Slytherin common room. This, I got the same pattern as the very first Quidditch match. And yeah, I think RNG was not too bad. Yeah, he didn't really move much. That's pretty good. And I got a good line too from Lee Jordan. And we're gonna go back into the castle, and normally after Slytherin you get sent in Entry Hall, where we're currently heading right now. And then the story will resume like normal. And now we're heading on to Spongify, which is the second shortest level. We're not gonna Quidditch Warp out of it. We could, but it's slower, because that's literally how short that level is. And yeah, here same boost as Rectus Empra, or enter Rectus Empra rather. So here our keys, there's really nothing going on, so I'm just gonna skip ahead. There's really nothing. So yeah. Here, interesting little thing. You can see me jump here. That's actually on purpose. There's a cutscene trigger here. That we can't skip that cutscene, but it's just faster to like jump over it so that Harry doesn't get stopped. And we have to skip a cutscene. And yeah, the trigger is so small that we can literally just jump over it. And because of the layout of this level, the star is right above us in this room. So we can just get a long ledge grab of this ledge and boost straight to the final star. 16-second level, so way faster than doing a Quidditch warp. I believe the only category that does a Quidditch warp there is cutscene percent, which is a category that forbids you from using the cutscene skip button. So yeah, now we went to the last bean bonus room of the game, the Spongefly bean bonus room. Now we're gonna head into bathroom, where we learn Hagrid released the monster. Hagrid is the evil guy. So yeah, this is just walking to bathroom. Let's skip ahead. And once again, game state updates. This is the last Quidditch warp of the run, but the game state there updates when we enter the young Hagrid cutscene. And you can actually see here, interesting thing, that I'm actually not doing any strength transfer like I did on the other matches. I could, but as you can see here, the last match is unlocked, which is weird because normally if you've played the game, you have to win every single match. I think this is actually something I wanted to test, if just winning this match is enough. But I believe you have to win every single match to unlock this one. But now, because doing strength transfer also, because the game thinks sorts of things that we're on match 6. So every single match I did before, the score I got at the end got transferred to this one. And the game thinks that we already played this match once, which is why it just got unlocked like that. Because after Spongefly being bonus room, or entering Spongefly being bonus room, is when you're able to play this last match. Because Quidditch matches unlock both. The first 5 Quidditch matches, they unlock based on your game state, where you are in the story. The last match also that, but it also requires you to beat all the other matches. But here, because we score transferred once, we don't have to unlock it. Okay, here, let's see. Did I get... I didn't get the best pattern a single time this run. That's really unlucky. Not a big deal. Not a terrible Quidditch match. Not the best one either. And yeah, usually this is the point in the run where you're like, okay, now I have a shot on record or PB, or not. There's still a lot that you have to not fail, but this is essentially the last like big RNG of the run that can lose you a lot of time. So yeah, after the young Hagrid cutscene, we get sent in the common room, so that's why we spawn there. Now we're gonna walk out of the castle. So yeah. And now we go on to the Grounds Night map. Second time in that we go on this map. There's only 2 instances where we go on this map. And both actually have the enter forest trigger. So we could actually go to forest the very first night, but because we don't have every single spell, we need at least Rectus Empra, Scourge, and Defendo to beat forest. And Aragog. Which is why we can't go straight to forest. You only reload because it's fast, but you don't need to reload to do any of the Quidditch strats we do. So yeah, here a frog that you don't really need because, well, you can see I'm already almost full health. So yeah, normally this bridge collapses if you keep going, but you can jump instead on this, on the Defendo branches there, and then go back on the bridge. Doesn't save much, but it avoids, you know, climbing the platforms. And then, yeah, Forest is a lot of like movement optimization, trying to like hit that tile or jump on that tile as early as possible. Here we do a short Letra boost to skip having to climb all the way there. And here, interesting mechanic. So you can see here, I'm not dying. And the reason for that is when you bounce off a sponge fight tile, you cannot die from fall damage. It's impossible. Until you next land on the ground. After you next land as soon as you land on the ground after bouncing off a sponge fight tile, then you can take fall damage again. Which I didn't do here. I grabbed a ledge, and because I didn't land on the ground yet, I don't know if the game still thinks I'm in the air or something, but it essentially, the game didn't realize that I sort of landed on something. So I can do a big boost here, which skips a little bit of walking to go forward, and I preserve the properties of the sponge fight tile where I don't take any damage. So that's why I was able to not take any fall damage there. And our final boost, we want to make sure we boost a little bit after. If we try to boost instantly, I think we don't go right far enough. You want to delay that boost a little bit, and you can't see it. It's a really tiny gap that we go through, and normally this wouldn't work, but because when Harry's in the ledge grab animation, his hitbox actually like shrinks massively. And because of that, we can make it through a tiny gap through the... Yeah, I can't show it because I don't ever show the camera on it. But yeah, that's how that works. And now onto Aragog, which, you know, careful if you have problems with like flashing lights, because there's going to be a lot of pause casting here. So maybe skip past Aragog if, you know, you have problems with that. Whoops, paused. So normally during this fight, you have to cut all the web to start the Aragog fight. But the game only checks if a Defendo is just hitting the spot where the web is. Or in this case, where the web was. So what we can do is do a bunch of pause casts. Even Glitchless abuses that, because in Glitchless you barely have enough time to get 2 hits in. You still have to like go around and cast a bit more. But you can also choose that in Glitchless. But here I can do 4 casts with pause casting on 2 webs, and that's enough to start the fight. And so yeah, here there are 2 different strats that you can use, which are close to the same speed. Optimally, what I'm doing here is the fastest, but it's really close. Another strat, you bring Aragog around. It's a bit complicated to explain, but you do way less pause casting. So yeah, here not much to explain. I hit Aragog twice. I do a bunch of pause casting, and I only hit Aragog twice when he shows his weak point, and that ends the fight. Pretty self-explanatory. And yeah, there's actually a little bit of RNG here. You saw me complain. This thing here, this is Aragog. He always does at least 1 attack. He has 3 different attacks he can do. I got the worst one there. The first two are almost the same length. I believe it's like a 0.1 or 0.2 difference. It's not a big deal. This one, however, loses, I think, 2 to 2.5 seconds. So I got pretty unlucky there. But obviously not a run killer. So, now we're gonna try to complete chamber without completely, you know, killing the run. So yeah, here we enter chamber. Not much to explain. There's actually a new way to enter chamber by clipping. So yeah, what we do normally is we jump up there, and if you time your jump well, you can actually partially clip on that little ledge, and like a ledge clip just like in Boomslang, and it gives you a bit of speed. But yeah, there's another way where you clip on the left, which I'll show right now. But yeah, it really doesn't save much, so instead we're gonna... Also, it was found after this run anyway, so... So, Scourge Snipe. Normally you're meant to, you know, go down, hit the Scourge, and go back here, etc. There's a tiny, tiny spot where if you aim precisely, you can hit the Scourge that's at the bottom there. It's really, really precise. And also weirdly inconsistent. And it saves close to 10 seconds. And here we skip the entire section with like the crusher and everything that's like up. This is actually a strat we used to not do for a long time until we got better at it. Normally we would cast on this rock, go behind, and then get a medium ledge grab from like behind the rock, because a medium ledge grab moves you to the right, which when you're behind this rock is perfect because you end up here. Now, obviously, this is not the fastest strat. The fastest strat is doing this, getting a short ledge grab there, and landing barely. You can see it, like I'm barely landing on the little slope there. The reason this is a lot harder is because a short ledge grab first doesn't move you like to the left, and it moves you a tiny bit to the right, like just a tiny bit. And obviously there, you see, we want to go left. We don't want to go to the right, which is why it makes this ledge grab even harder. It doesn't move you to the left at all and moves you in the opposite direction. And onto the final room of Chamber 1. Chamber has 3 levels total. Chamber 1, Chamber 2, and then Basilisk. So we get a medium ledge grab here. To go all the way to the top so we can cast on this row. Let's say with Chamber 1. Chamber B, strat similar to what we did in the Willow with the luggage boost. I cast Flipendo on this like mover, this platform, as I'm grabbing it, so that once again Harry gets moved while you push the block. And yeah, normally there's like the sponge tile down there that you have to open with the Flipendo switch and everything. But because we got pushed so far away, we actually managed to get past like this like ceiling under here and get into a wall walk here. That saves, I believe, close to 2 seconds. And now here, not a wall walk. We're just gonna directly go on the bridge, and you can see it goes down, but there's a tiny collision right here, like a couple pixels, I think, where you can actually walk on the bridge, just because the collision extends. And the reason I'm going to the left here is because I'm gonna do a medium ledge grab. To skip a little bit of walking. I have to get a ledge grab here anyways, but a medium ledge grab again lets me go forward if I don't boost instantly, which is so that those are the 2 reasons why I went to the left. Well, the main reason you go to the left is because, again, the medium elytra moves you to the right. So I would just like get stuck in the wall that's like right here. But here we delay it to make sure we don't go to the right at all, and then we go forward. Here, everyone goes to the right here. Except me. I found that, I think, a little bit before I got this record, that going left here, because there's less like moving left and right than the right side, saves 0.1. So amazing time save. And yeah, again, this is a slope like the entire time, which is why you see me jumping the entire time. Now, final boost of the run. We trigger the moving platform, get a short ledge grab so that we get moved first backward. Which this part is really important, that the short ledge grab moves us backward first, because otherwise we would get stuck on the wall, and the wall that's falling here would just like crush us and kill us. But here we can get into a nice wall walk and then drop back down. So now you can see me do all those jumps. Again, like I said, if you jump but don't do the spell tech, you lose a little bit of speed. Which here is actually perfect, because we want to lose just enough speed so that we don't take too much damage from these like fires. And yeah, by doing this setup, it's the perfect timing, so you only take 1 damage. Now, there is actually a new strat that got found where you boost on the side, which I'll show right now. So the final new strat, we can get a medium ledge grab boost, completely skip the damage we normally take, and also save a little bit of walking. This saves anywhere between 1 to 2 seconds. Now, interesting strat here. We used to, for a very long time, we used to backwalk. Because if you're too close to the snake, he tries to like plunge on you and takes a full health bar. But Human, who was the record holder before I beat his run, found out that you can really quickly stun lock Snake. Like here, this is the animation it does right before he plunges at you. You can stun lock Snake by doing a hit right before he does that, like that animation. And then the plunge sorts of gets stored, but yeah. Instead, he doesn't plunge on us, he plunges either to the left or to the right. So yeah, really weird thing. I'm also moving to the right here because for some reason, this is a really tight timing to not get hit to like stun lock in, but for some reason, if you move a little bit to the right, it delays the plunge a little bit. So yeah. Saves, I think, close to a second. And now, you hear us often say 2 cycle or 3 cycle or whatnot. What we refer to as cycle is every single time Snake comes out of this vent. And the thing is, why this is so important is because the way they programmed the last cutscene is Snake can only die on this vent, because that's where in the cutscene he's supposed to like destroy the like diary and, you know, out of this vent. So Snake can only die in this vent. If you try to kill him in any other vent, it will not work. He will stay at 1 health and not die. So when you want to try to get enough damage to get a 2 cycle, theoretically a 1 cycle is possible, but it's absolutely ridiculous. It's only been done once with like hours and hours of like attempts, and it's also partially random. And it's a lot of hits that we have to get in for just a 2 cycle, which is why we have this right here, which I got a bit unlucky. If you cast with the sword like that and get hit like right after, a little bit after, I don't know why that works again. So most of the explanations, sorry, I just don't know how it works, but essentially we get hit and another fully, or the last spell that we casted with the sword gets you get another full one essentially like that. You can see it just recast the spell I just casted, and you can chain that like multiple times. You can see I go in the poison again, and that's how I can get a lot of really quick hits in by just walking the poison instantly as I cast. And another thing about this fight, which we also don't understand, you can see on the bottom there, YouTube bar is a bit annoying there, but essentially sometimes you can get something called double hits, where a normal sword cast will do twice the damage. We believe it's like hitting Snake at like a very precise spot, but we're really not sure. At the moment it's a bit inconsistent. There are setups to make it a bit more consistent, but overall it's mostly random. And here I was very happy because I got, I think, 2 double hits, which saved record. Without the 2 double hits, I probably would have lost record there. And yeah, here, one last RNG time save. You jump on the students and it gives you a speed boost, which can save up to 0.2. And then we walk into the Great Hall and we just beat the game. And that is it. So yeah, very improvable run. As you probably saw, like the mistakes and the RNG. There wasn't that many mistakes overall, but I got a bit unlucky with RNG. But mostly the new time save. If you combine all the new time save that we found, there's, yeah, like 7-8 seconds of time save. So at the moment, the theoretical human limit would be probably somewhere around a 30 OX. A lot of people ask whether a 29 is possible or not. It is technically possible at the moment. All the community best segments combined give a 29. It's just really unrealistic because of the amount of RNG that this run has with like all the Quidditch matches. At the moment, with like taking into account RNG and new strat, I think the best time you could realistically get would be anywhere between a 31x and a 30-0x. I think more strats would need to be found for a sub 30 to be doable. But yeah, that's about it for this run. That was Harry Potter 2 Watercur Explain. Hope you enjoyed it. Now, again, I am not really planning on doing a Watercur Explain for Harry Potter 3. Not because the run is like really uninteresting or anything. The run is still cool, but the run is really self-explanatory. Like, there are a couple things to explain, but really not that many. Now, if people are still really interested in having a Watercur Explain video for Harry Potter 3, you can let me know in the comments. But yeah, otherwise I probably won't do one. But yeah, and if you have any more questions, I hope I went over like the most important stuff in this run. But if you still have some questions, some things that aren't like too clear, feel free to ask in the comment. And yeah, hope you enjoyed the video.